Man thinks he governs the earth, yet can't command his own urges. This is the paradox haunting modern masculinity. He may seize countries, dominate industries, craft kingdoms in the digital realm. Yet the moment an attractive woman enters, his essence quivers, his focus shifts, his path detours, his mission fades. Despite all the rhetoric about liberty, self-sufficiency and strength, most men are still bound, not by governments or laws, but by a far more ancient captor. Desire, Nietzsche, though not often linked to lust, spoke loudly against frailty, groupthink, and man's failure to transcend his body. In nature's eyes, uncontrolled craving isn't just noise, it's enslavement. It's the lock-barring man from ascension. Lust unchecked drains ambition into shallow urges that cry out to be met. It lures man not through bliss alone, but by disguising indulgence as liberty. Nature, the soul's surgeon, would carve through that illusion with precision. What you call affection, what you think is passion, is often just weakness in perfume. At nature's core lies a truth few grasp, the drive for mastery. This isn't about ruling others, as many assume, but about gaining command over oneself, to tame the chaos within, to rise above animal instincts. It's the spiritual ignition that fuels man, to build, to endure, to transcend. But many have swapped this sacred force for a lesser idol, the pursuit of comfort, where power demands sacrifice, clashes, and trial. Pleasure whispers ease, relaxation, and escape. Lust here isn't merely physical longing. It's the erosion of inner intensity, an invitation to become soft, impulsive, and dominated. As he hunts the next lover, the next thrill, the next instant high, his vision thins, his strength seeps out through meaningless releases. An emotional fragility. A man driven by lust no longer pilots his spirit. He plays the role of king, but lives like a beggar. More often than not, lust becomes a cover, the fearful man's medication, rather than endure the strain of evolution, the stillness of being alone, the weight of legacy, the dread of death. He runs toward fleeting validation from the feminine. Nature, who saw adversity as the path to greatness, would find modern hookup culture pitiful, not because it's sinful, but because it's feeble. It displays a species of men who would rather numb their soul than face themselves in silence. They dread the hollowness inside, so they fill it with bodies. As Nietzsche said, whoever has a why can bear almost anyhow. But today's man has no why, only a who. The next body, the next conquest, the next escape. Sex becomes the distraction from real creation. They construct no empires, only illusions. And in doing so, they dodge the forged greatness. Lust isn't rebellion, it's retreat. Perhaps the sharpest of nature's warnings is what happens when a man raises a woman above himself. Lust isn't rebellion, it's withdrawal. One of nature's most piercing revelations comes when man elevates woman above himself. In the fantasy of modern romance, men are conditioned to pursue, to prove their worth, to win her approval, as if she were the prize at the end of the path. But nature would caution. Any man who places a woman on a pedestal has already crouched beneath her shadow. He's committed a betrayal of his essence. He sees her not as a fellow traveler, but as the destination. He doesn't walk beside her, he orbits her. She becomes the judge of his value, the source of his joy, the architect of his ambition. When she smiles, he feels whole. When she withholds, he collapses. That same man who preaches self-discipline and power crumbles in her presence. To nature, this kind of romanticism is a mask, a thin veil hiding a hollow man. The one who seeks a savior in a lover is not captivated by love, but trapped in submission. Here lies the tragic contradiction. Men think access to women equals liberation. that quantity of conquest equates to strength. To nature, that logic is laughable. You are not free, he would say. You are bound by biology, driven by systems that harvest your lust and sell it back to you as masculinity. This is not power. This is slavery with colonion. You think you lead because you make the first move. But ask yourself who controls the addict, the needle or the need. True sovereignty lies not in chasing every desire, but in mastering the desire itself. Nature would demand a man to pause, to stare into his own eyes and ask, is my craving mine? Or does a memory of her own it? Most men would realize their energy, their moods, their self-worth are dictated by the pull of sex. They are not sovereigns, they are puppets. And so nature delivers his harsh ultimatum: break the chains, or stay kneeling before her throne. The irony: the chains were never locked by her. They were forged from your own unmet hunger, your undisciplined cravings, your refusal to rise. Sex is not wicked. Women are not enemies. But worshipping either is the birthplace of bondage. The man who doesn't rule his lust will be ruled by it. He will never build beyond himself, because he will keep bleeding pieces of himself into the void. But the man who rises above it, who reclaims his command over energy, who steps beyond the animal into something sacred, that man isn't just rare, he's untouchable, he's sovereign, he's free to exit the dungeon of lust. A man must first accept this truth. Freedom isn't indulgence, it's elevation. Nietzsche's archetype, the overman, was never meant to be the cold celibate nor the weak hedonist. He is the alchemist of his own longing, the one who shapes fire into fuel. He doesn't suppress desire out of fear, nor surrender to it for comfort. He stands above it, he uses it, he becomes more because of it. In nature's vision, lust is not to be repressed for morality's sake. It is to be transfigured into higher will. The raw force that throbs within every man is not shameful. It is sacred, but most spill it into jobs of distraction. Only the elevated man, the one carved in silence and solitude, understands that sex isn't a destination. It is the fuel. It is the firewood for greatness. The hunger that can either chain him or propel him into legacy, discipline, creation, power. There is something almost holy in nature's worship of solitude, while the masses cling to affection, comfort, distraction. The thinker, the craftsman, the warrior retreats within. He finds peace in the quiet furnace of self. Nietzsche revered the one who could stand truly alone, needing no applause, no followers, no lover to tell him he mattered. Greatness, he said, rises from stillness, and history agrees. Leonardo da Vinci, Tesla, Newton, Beethoven. These men weren't ruled by lust. They were lit by vision. Many practiced celibacy not from disdain for women, but because their work demanded total focus. In the void, they found fire. In their restraint, they discovered sight. Through silence, they shaped civilization. The modern man fears that void because he knows his shallow self will echo back. But nature would whisper, only in solitude do you meet the God within. Only in stillness do you slaughter the weakest you. Sexual self-control isn't suppression. It is self-mastery in a world dripping with stimulation and synthetic highs. The man who contains his essence becomes magnetic. He doesn't crave the spotlight. He generates gravity. Women notice it. Men respect it, even if they don't understand it. When you don't need the woman, you become unreadable. You aren't a pawn moved by her hand. You are a king without a crown, immune to flattery, impossible to manipulate. And yet here's where most men fall again. They see woman not as an equal soul, but as a badge to earn. She is not some medal for obedience, nor a reward for perfect performance. She is not the finish line. She is the mirror. She reveals you to yourself, not through words, but through reflection. She shows you the truth or the illusion you've become. The man who treats her as a test rather than a goal remains rooted in his power. He does not chase her for validation. He observes her as feedback, each flirtation, each emotional wave, each moment of temptation. Isn't a call to lose himself, as a prompt to hold his ground, to stay rooted in who he is, to stay locked in his mission. True masculinity, nature would argue, is not reactive. It doesn't wobble with her moods or collapse under her charm. It creates, it leads, it holds the line. Thank you for listening, gentlemen. Subscribe to join the true Avalon Kingdom.